U.S. police kill over 1,000 people a year. But we just learned that's not the half of it. Literally. Most countries are far different from the US when it comes to murderous police. Denmark and Switzerland often have 0 killings by police per year. Iceland, they've had 1 murder by a police officer in their history. And it happened because the spongy pellet that the cop fired out of his Nerf gun got lodged in the victim's throat. It was a sad case. I mean, you know Icelandic cops are not going to be that violent. I mean, their outfits are the same thing they wear at SeaWorld to wash the orcas. This means U.S. police murder more people in the first few hours of each new year than Icelandic cops have murdered ever. So I will admit, this sounds kind of bad for America, almost as bad as that Super Bowl halftime show starring Rod Stewart and the Wiggles. But, a new report shows it's actually far worse. I don't know why I'm smiling while I say that. A month ago, the Department of Justice released a report about the numbers of people who die while in custody of law enforcement. Oh, this sounds like a real page turner. I bet they found that our American system is one of the best in the world, and just caring for people and just making sure that no one accidentally gets killed, and just really loving one another like the Youngbloods sang about. No. Unfortunately, as one article put it, the DOJ admitted it has no idea how many people die in law enforcement custody. Oh, great. So that 1,000 people number that we always hear, 1,000 people murdered by police every year, that's just the people they actually bothered to count. Well, I always say, the one thing harming American exceptionalism is truth. If we could just find a way to keep truth at bay, we're going to be tops. The report, authored by the Office of the Attorney General, offers an unprecedented accounting of the government's neglect in tracking deaths in U.S. prisons and jails and at the hands of police. It found the federal government has failed to count thousands of deaths in law enforcement custody over the past 3 years. Thousands? How do you fail to track death? There's a fucking body laying there. It's right there. It's not like it's running away from it. It's right there. How can you not track that? Dead guy? What? No, that's not a dead guy. That's just a pile of clothes is what that is. Yeah, there's a dead guy inside of it, but that's how the vintage store always donates them to us here at the police station. They just give us the clothes with the corpse in them because it's an environmental thing. They don't want to waste the plastic on a mannequin, so you just leave the corpse in there and you can prop it up and display the clothing that way. So, they're thinking green, and we support that here at the police department. So if the government has failed to count a lot of deaths, exactly how many we talking here? Police killings in America have been undercounted by more than half over the past 4 decades, according to a new study. Half? Jesus, farting mother! About 55% of fatal encounters with the police between 1980 and 2018 were listed as another cause of death. Another cause of death. Like what? Taser to face syndrome? Yeah, he came down with a bad case of boot throat. Yeah, a lot of folks here in prison pick up the boot throat while they're here. It's really too bad, especially those that talk back or say something negative about police. Yeah. So if police killings are undercounted by 55%, how many would that be during, say, this year? Well, as of October 7th of this year, the Washington Post says 1,039 people have been killed by police already this year. If that's only 45% of the actual total, then in reality, 1,890 Americans have already been killed by our police this year, and we still got 2.5 months left. Good God! The damn Icelanders must be laughing at us, which sounds like this. Clock, 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 clock. Just laughing at us over their pints of seal's blood or whatever it is they drink. Now, you might be thinking, this is outrageous. This is disgusting. This is beyond disgraceful. But maybe that study was garbage that says that we only count half the deaths. Maybe that study was done by some intern from Michael Moore or some shit, analyzing the amount of vintage clothing sold by police departments across the country and assuming that every set of clothing has a body in it or something. No, actually. The study conducted by researchers at the University of Washington, published on Thursday in The Lancet, a major British medical journal, amounts to one of the most comprehensive looks at the scope of police violence in America and the disproportionate impact on black people. How does this happen? How can such an extreme undercount of police killings take place? Well, for one thing, death certificates do not generally ask whether police were involved. So if a police officer chokes someone to death, the certificate may just say asphyxiation. It likely will not say, fucking roided up asshole with a badge strangled that dude to death. That's not, medical examiner doesn't normally write all of that. And if the victim was tased to death, the certificate might just read heart attack or heart attack brought on by excess electricity. There are many examples of this. In Aurora, Colorado, 23-year-old Elijah McClain's death a couple of years ago, which garnered massive protests, was initially ruled undetermined before it was revealed he had been choked, handcuffed, and injected with ketamine. Ha! Maybe those things added to his death. Maybe it was the horse tranquilizer you pumped him full of. Do you think that had something to do with it? The most famous example is probably George Floyd, the murder that started massive Black Lives Matter protests across the country. The police and the county medical examiner first pointed to drug use and underlying health conditions as the cause of death. Then the entire world saw the video and realized, oh, maybe it was the fucking cop that kneeled on him until he died. Maybe that was what caused his death. And although it won't bring any of their victims back, this all begs the question, how many cops are convicted of murder after they kill someone? What do you think, fair viewer? I'll pose this one to you. Do you think it's 10%? No, that's too high, right? Well, how about 1%? Meaning 99% of police get away with their murders unscathed. Does that sound right? Well, NBC News, in their first moment of actual journalism since they covered George Washington having wooden teeth, NBC News looked at all the police killings over a 15-year period, and they found only 3 officers have been convicted of murder during that period, 2005 to 2019, and seen their convictions stand. 3 officers? That's less than the number of police officers who have a tattoo of Scary Movie 3 across their back, and because it's their favorite movie, and it's no one's favorite movie. So if we assume, as the Lancet Medical Journal just told us, that there's roughly 2,000 police killings a year times 15 years, that's 30,000 Americans killed by cops over that period. Then 3 convictions of police officers would be 0.01%. 1/100th of 1% of police who murder a civilian will get convicted of murder in the American system. I don't even actually have anything to say to that. I'm just going to keep staring awkwardly at the camera. The policing system in the United States is a runaway fascist death squad, to put it in polite terms. There's no accountability, there's no oversight, and when they kill someone, they don't even need to write down that they killed someone. They just jot down cause of death, lack of oxygen. Victim should have spent more of his time finding oxygen rather than jaywalking. Let that be a lesson to him. He won't make that mistake again, right? I don't know. This is disgusting. It's disgraceful. I still gotta blame fucking Iceland, all right? You can almost hear them laughing at us. That's all for now. Thanks to the rapper Awkward for bringing this story to my attention. Follow him on Twitter @AwkwardRap. And don't forget that the Most Censored News is completely independent, okay? We only keep going with your support. Join us on Patreon and text the word censored to 33777 to join our free email list. Thanks, and keep fighting.